I have no idea what's
That's
working, but
cute.
I'm working for it in the background. But apparently, I'm accomplishing something.
There you go.
You know, and I think that's kind of like a metaphor for what happens in our lives, regardless of whether we're paying attention or not. You know, everything's working in the background, is what Spirit is saying. You know, there's always something going on. We're perpetuating momentum or we're fighting against it in one way or another. You know, and I think that when they make statements like that, it's important to pay attention, especially with what you got going on right now. They're mentioning Pluto, you know, being active right now, and people feeling the activity or the sensitivity to Pluto's activations is what I'm also hearing. So I think this is a very interesting time to take a look around, observe, you know, kind of pay attention to what's going on, you know, beyond the fence, beyond your borders or your boundaries, to make sure that, you know, that you can verify for yourself that everything is different or something has changed, or you have been enlightened with some form of clarity about a person, place, or thing, a situation, a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not, everybody's unique, and everybody has their own experiences when it comes to these type of energies. So what we like to do is we talk about the influences of the energy to better understand what may be happening in your personal life, uniquely designed to you, is what Spirit just said. So, you know, it's important. They say it's important to know these things. You know what I'm saying? That these actions or these times of behavior, or when things switch or when they shift, because as you become more intuitive, you realize that these things happen a lot more frequently than a lot of people will even talk about in the first place, you know? And we're all about sharing our experiences, you know, especially when it comes to these type of revelations, because, you know, it's good to know that there's people out there that can actually see what you see, or understand what you need, what you're trying to understand right now, or you have that support or a community available to you that helps you understand these things more when you don't really know what's happening to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be going crazy. You could be feeling like you got to take the first step and you don't even know what that step is, or you want to jump into something but you don't know how to jump. You know what I'm saying? And it's like leap is what Spirit is saying. You know, it's like that's kind of like the first step of overcoming an adversity, or something that tells you that you can't do something when in actuality you can. You know, and they're taking me back to, you know, the forms of complacency that we kind of like doctrinate ourselves with. You know, I call it the con job. We call it the con job because basically what we're doing is we're lying to ourselves and believing it, and we're having more faith in the lie than the actual belief or understanding of what belief actually is, you know. And I feel like, you know, there's definitely some fire energy here. You know, I would say Sagittarian, possibly even, you know, just fiery-esque. You know, of course we have that, we have Jupiter and Leo now, right? But I feel like there's kind of like a fiery awakening that's happening in people. This might be hot flashes, sweating out of nowhere, energetic sensations or vibrations, pulsation. This is part of that activation, is what they just said. You know what I'm saying? These things are deeply intuitive. You know, if you're really, if you're doubting yourself, this is something that you might look past, you know, especially when it comes to the sensitivity of the energy right now, or how deep you have the ability to understand what is happening in your life right now, you know, because this is very special attention, is what Spirit is saying. This is how we learn how to pay attention to ourselves, pay attention to the energy, learn how to move in flow instead of fight against it, and learn how to become more one or instinctual with with consciousness itself, or the cosmos. You know, we talk about astrology a lot and the familiarity of astrology because we all people of the stars. And earlier in the collective we were saying today, you know, energy knows itself, and the only thing that what you're experiencing is the great remembering. So when these things activate inside of you, when you're getting these activations or these indignations, is what Spirit just said, of maybe I should do this, or maybe I should try that, or how about I look at it this way. These are divine indications that something is changing outside of yourself. The energy has shifted. You have gained more clarity and awareness towards your situation. And they're showing me that that's kind of like a little white flag that comes up to let you know, hey, different, you know. and paying attention to what's happening in that actualization of the process of what's happening, you know, because and they take it back to our emotions. It's like how we process emotions. Literally, some of us can be fucking savages when we process our emotions. It's ridiculous. It's overly dramatic, you know. And then when we finally calm down, we come to those very realizations, only to kind of forget what the fuck we're doing and go and move back into it again and overreact somehow to some person, place, or thing, person of the past. And this is divine orientation. This is selection, is what they said here. And you know that these come into our experiences with purpose. For us to overcome, for us to learn, for us to embrace, for us to humbly approach things from an observer space. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the way that they're explaining it to me is that anything that may come up that triggers you in any way, that makes you feel like you're inadequate somehow, just remember that that's an old belief system that's presenting itself to you, that you are meant to overcome somehow. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, this is about self-confidence. This is about realizing how important, how sovereign, how divine you really are, and what the divine actually represents to you. The love is you. You are the creator. You are the essence of the creator itself. You know what I'm saying? You're not separate from it. But the ideology or idealism is keeping you from that very realization. And this is what we're talking about right here with this message. This is Pluto energy. This is Pluto's energy, because you go to the depths, into the darkness. You know what I'm saying? Into the cold. You know what I'm saying? To find yourself again, to discover the pieces that you have been buried long before, or something that you've been literally wanting to do that you haven't done, that you really want to do, but haven't done it before and are scared somehow and been talking your way out of it. I feel like this Pluto energy is very direct right now of saying, what do you want to do? And let's do it. You know, because it's been a long time that, and the way that they're showing it to me is that it's been a long time that people have been going into cycle after cycle, or circle after circle, or circle after circle, wondering why the hell the shit just doesn't really pan out in one way or another, or the way that they intended to manifest it in the first place. Why is this not working? It's like, well, it's no surprise that this season was a bit self-doubt, insecurity, anxiety, bad relationships, karmic endings. You know what I'm saying? Dude, it's like a fucking soap opera. Yeah. You know? If you're paying attention, that's what's going on right now, is drama, you know? And we're literally taking the steps through rationalization and revelation to realize that these things don't really fucking matter, and they've been hindering us and hiding us from the essence of the creator for too long. You know what I'm saying? Like, sooner, you know, you get sick and tired when you get sick and tired, is what Spirit just said. And that reminds me, because they said it in her voice. And it's like, really, when you want to make change happen in your life, you're going to do it. But you have to wholeheartedly intend to do it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be afraid regardless, because it's just something that you're not understanding. You know, you haven't done it before. You don't have enough experience. Or you've had 10 million excuses as to why you shouldn't do it in the first place, because it doesn't fit your picture perfect world the way that somebody has shown you it is. Versus what the divine spirit, God, source, creator is literally working through right now, working through each and every one of you to get you to understand that, you know, this is divinely led. Everything is consciousness. Everything comes from the divine. We are all part of the source and the creator. This is why you have these gifts. This is why we have these awakenings. This is why we have these deep conversations about things, because we truly are divine and intelligent. We are part of a divine intelligence. And we're being asked to connect more with this divine intelligence, but in the process, we're also being asked to surrender that which is not divine. And some of us are just having a hard time with it because they don't know what's next step to take. And here we are. Take the step. Take the leap. Take the jump. Don't do something stupid, because your practical rationalization, and they talked about grounding earlier, and Taurus energy, and being practical about an approach to what it is that you want to do, how you would like to enact that, what your 50-year plan is, in a sense, if that's long enough for you, or if it takes that long, be mentally prepared for the long game of how the unfolding and the deconstructing of your reality, because you're now more truthful and authentic to you, takes, you know, you get to observe the process as you're going through it, you know, and you realize that this is just part of the deep crumbling in order for me to build from a strong foundation, or build from a divine orientation of what my life is actually about, what I'm here to do, my person, place, or path, who I'm meant to be with, who am I meant to be around, my community, You know what I'm saying? Because we're all meant to support one another, and we're not really supporting one another because we're too busy hiding, or we're too busy in the closet, or we're too busy in fucked up environments that we can't necessarily get out of. And this is like the healer's trap that we're all suffering from, is the way, you know, the way that they're showing it to me, you know. So right now we come to understand that we need to live life more fully and openly, depending on the situation or the construct that or concept we may be suffering from or are in. You know what I'm saying? They're using this poverty and self-doubt almost like they go hand in hand because one perpetuates the other. You know? So there's a strong lack of confidence with self-doubt and a impoverished mindset, right? But this is why we tell people all the time, especially when we speak to them, don't ever speak on your name in a poor way. Don't ever say that you're broke. Don't ever say that you don't have enough. You know, if anything, through my experiences, you'll realize that everything that you need in every moment is always around you, and that's the Creator's promise. But if you're not willing to look for it, or you don't know how to, that is why these things pass you by. And I know that from experience, you know, from not paying attention or actually honoring what's most important in my life, which is my divine awareness, which helps me navigate this reality, especially with life situations that are happening currently in everybody's life. You know, we're all going through some kind of shit. We always are, you know, but it's the compassion for ourselves that allows us to have compassion for others and set things free instead of holding on to them, which is that part of that reality that we're all trying to release in one way or another. This impoverished mindset, self-doubt, insecurity, possibly overthinking, making yourself crazy for no reason, or going crazy for no reason. Because that's part of that grounded aspect that, you know, they're showing me the Hierophant card, and that's earth energy itself, and how we need to utilize more grounding and the understanding of the depth of groundingness and the interconnectedness and how they correlate, how they're meant to come together and actually unify you in a way where you're not freaking out or overreacting or over-perceiving or trying to figure things out so much to the point where you're not even living your life. Go ahead, baby. Thank you.
So a lot of the information that I was receiving was from a different type of clarification and vibration. And I want to speak to that authentically, because what's coming through is the frequency of wisdom. And there's a defragmentation that's happening within your own individual prism. Fundamentals. There's some type of identification process in fundamentals that has been clung to, or how you have to do something, or what the divine is to you, what that energy is to you, rather than some figmentation of abbreviation in the sky. A lot of you are allowing time to pass you by, trying to figure out what to do, or what you have, or what you hold inside to be true. A lot of that is unbeknownst to you because of the undiscovered areas of you. Referring back to Gnostic texts right now as they come through in hermetics and codes to me. There's a lot of binary numbers that are filing through right now. And those binary numbers are made of ones and zeros that are conducted of yes and no's, which means the I am, the omnipresence of everything and all things simultaneously, is what you're starting to conceive in a deeper type of reality connected to you. There's a more authentic vibration that's traveling through in cognitization. I don't know how to pronounce that word properly, so forgive me. Cognance recognition basically is what they're trying to say. So you're more cognitively aware of an energy and vibration trying to come through your prism to you a lot of masquerading around. So you're seeing where things are crumbling, things are falling down, masks are being shared all around, belief systems, how things actually make sound. So how things actually make vibratory sound, vibratory frequency all around you. You're starting to connect to different belief systems and deflect and defrag different belief systems of how you got here. And literally they're showing me the spiral of all things at one time that is in all things, right? So we call it the Fibonacci sequence here, if that rings a bell to you. And maybe you're getting messages or codes of hieroglyphs and stuff like that. They're asking me to tell you guys to pay attention more to your north node right now than your sun or your moon or your rising. Please pay attention to your north node right now. You're seeing a lot of things as in shape. So instead of looking at a tree as a tree, you're looking at the tree as a multi-layer of functionality. The roots that feed from the ground, the bark that protects the tree, the rings inside the tree, the nutrients inside the tree, the water inside the tree, the leaves, the veins. It's like, I know that this sounds weird, but it's almost as if I'm on a very psychotropic type of refractalization right now that's coming back into my prism. So it's seeing things on a very, it's almost like you're seeing energy or life in very deep forms of multiplicity. Here is what they're giving me. So you're connecting to a very authentic piece and part of quantum physics, analogy, symbolization, numbers,
the ability
different
to see
sounds,
through the layers.
yes, and so
seeing through the layers.
This is where it's very profound for a lot of you that have been like, what is this? I think I'm going crazy. Some of you have been meeting this with resistance. For those of you that are commenting, I'm not even looking at you, so I apologize. I'm just through.
They're just liking.
So in this space and in this place, I want you to know that this is a deeper layer of to thy own self to be true, of the knowledge of the God that you are within each and every one of you because of the makeup of you. So the divine voice of the mother coming through once again, saying how I am the beginning and I am the end. I am the new and I am the old. I am I am the Christianity religion that was untold. And those things before you will behold. And that in which you are raising the vibration along with your own type of destination with following the North Node, raising into the Christ vibration, realizing that you are all things, you are good, you are bad, you are this, you are that, and accepting thyself and understanding the truest of the identification of you in that vibration, especially with the divine wisdom of the divine Sophia. A lot of that vibration of key code 777, a lot of the connection and the reflection to the divine mother attributes, right? Could be, like I said, green Terra, Kuan Yin, dragon energy is coming back up again. So for those of you that connect with that dragon energy, it's coming from the archetype, ancient architecture of that type of energy. There's a fire breathing deep inside of your desire to transpire in which you seek. And they're using the word meek as in, for whatever reason, that word meek made you feel weak, like bleak, like blah, okay? And that's not the way that it was to be taken. And there's the word forsaken. So a lot of you were in stagnation because you thought something inside of you was forsaken.
Man, I've heard that before. I've heard that before from you. From Spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you did I don't know, I think it was like last year that you said the same thing, but it's all consistent right now, fam. It's all rebirth energy. You're all going to you're all going to transform in one way or another, you know. And when we wake up the next day or the next morning, you'll realize that things are a little more sensitive than they have been, or things seem a little more brighter or more vivid or more visceral. You're having a more, you know, they said a 3D experience, you know, but they showed me very, very vivid, a vivid understanding of what rebirth energy signifies. You know, how is it that, you know, spiritual progression and how we're always constantly evolving and growing, you know, changing it. That change is part of the game because it shows us our adaptability. We have the ability to adapt to anything because we are energy and form. You know what I'm saying? So it's also a profound example of, you know, you are who you hang around with, you know, and when you hang around more with the Creator, with the divine, or the divine will of consciousness that is literally putting you in the places where you actually belong, you realize it's like, oh shit, this is where I fit. This is where I fit. This is I'm not as uncomfortable as I used to be because now I'm embracing reality in a sense. You know, it's our reality, the one that we're here to experience, the 5D, some may call it. But it's happening right here, right now, and a lot of confusion is coming up in the collective because you're still taking personal about things that you see when you're actually on another level, perceiving this same reality. So in essence, you know what I'm saying? Like, one of the easiest ways that I could tell you that or give you an example is like, you're the one who sees people's intentions. You're the ones who sees things clearly. You're the ones who feel that the energy is off. You're highly intuitive and you know something's not right.
She just texted me out of nowhere and said, this energy is wild. That was hilarious. She doesn't even know, like, a little bit. The energy is so big, it's making me feel nauseous.
So basically what's happening in this rebirth energy is now a lot of us have the clarity to know people's intentions, to feel all these things, but still looking at them from a past survival space, not realizing that they don't know any better, and we're the ones on another level. And then we take that, and then we turn it into an expectation of how people should conduct themselves, and then we're in judgment. You know what I'm saying? So basically, we're in purgatory with them, just at a higher level of understanding. So, and that's what we call a spiritual trap, fam. And it happens on every level, new levels, new devils. You know what I'm saying? Don't take it fucking personal when you realize that, hey, you should have went right when you went left, you know? But also at the same time, it's a humble realization of how these things actually orchestrate in our lives. What is the purpose of these things, you know? And it gives you the opportunity not to take shit personal. Because a lot of us come from those spaces where that's all we've ever done because we've been fighting our entire lives for something that we believe in wholeheartedly. You know, but yet now that we actually have the opportunity to step into that and engage and have that strength and courage in a completely different way where it actually creates something positive for us, we're scared.
We're scared.
You know what I'm saying? So when you realize that oh shit, that's what I'm running into, well, fuck that, you know? And that's when everything changes once more, right? And this is that diabolical process that Spirit talks about, the divine architecture. The mechanics of things and how the universe works and how your part is in it, you know. And you can go about your business. You're still here. You're still here to be what you're meant to be. This isn't a meaningless life. And as a matter of fact, the more you embrace it, the more it teaches you how purposeful you were here. Your existence is, you know, and how much you really matter and how important you are to the divine, because the divine is also you. And it loves you and it knows you and it speaks to you and it communicates with you in every way, because this whole entire physical experience is the very thing that we're talking about. The thing that is becoming louder and you're having to commit to in one way or another because your shit can't be shit no more. You can't carry it, you know? And here we are having the conversation about these very things that are happening in our lives, not knowing that this is part of a higher, more grand divine orchestration that we're all really participating in. And we've been dumbing it down for way too long.
There's 2 white butterflies outside.
Yeah, I saw them in the window.
Thank you for letting me know. That's a
2 for 1.
Oh, it flew on both on the floor too.
Yeah, the Hermit and the Knight of Wands. So that is a lot of wisdom. People are going through the experience within their own prism, realizing something not about an identification here, but more along the lines of the experience or the things that they have gone through that they fully understand, go through, are those things in which they are communing to teach. There's always somebody out there to reach, okay, is what was just given to me. So a lot of people are like, well, I don't even know what my gifts are, and I don't even know what my abilities are. Sometimes the ability to be in that energy of the experience that you may have in being in certain places or spaces or coming into connection with certain types of past things, you're actually there as a reflection. And a lot of people have been in hermit mode wondering what they're to bring to the table, what they're to do to the table. And they connect with a lot of different, what we say, modalities, right? And those modalities are expressions of how they connect. And so what they're finding out is it's not necessarily the tool that it's about. It's the experience, it's the wisdom, it's the gifts, it's the seeking, it's the actual experience of tuning into all things of Gnosis at one time, which is just divine knowing. That's what Gnosis is. And so a lot of people are going through this experience with the Hermit here that has become way more clear about the wisdom that they have or the things that they know about. And you may be talking about in conversation, and you just may say something to somebody and they may just have a revelation, and you didn't even realize that that was pertinent information to them because maybe they didn't know how to do something, but you did. And based upon the wisdom and the experience that you have, you help another through that. That's part of the ripple effect here. That energy is moving very quickly in a very passionate direction. Things that you've gone through, things that you've learned through, how to handle things, situations which used to baffle you, right? There's now direction and energetic flow and passion there. The moon, the more you know, is literally what's said, but which way are you going to go? So there's no path to really veer. And when they say which way are you really going to go, it's just you making a choice in how you're going to express that through you. How are you going to show up each and every day? Each and every day, it's a choice to show up and stand in that space, sit in that seat, take on that energy, do that thing, or be the highest vibration of self that you can to help someone else, right? How many of us have heard the reference that they go to church on Sunday, but yet they're an asshole the rest of the week, and they're doing shit out of bondage, and they're seeking, and so on and so forth, right? Oh yeah, but I love Jesus, and Jesus saved me. Might want to take another look at that. Because the same behavior's going on, but here's what's happening. The moon in which you're reflecting, you're going, it's a choice every day to be spiritual, or to be an expression of, or to be a reflection of. And so you're having to make that choice. And that's what this is. That sacred divine pathway for you that's different of the embodiment. Because let me tell you what happens when you start to embody things that people aren't ready for. When you actually start to embody what you naturally have, hold, and do inside, and you're not using one piece or one part of you. That's why a lot of people see me divine in many different ways, because I'm not gonna use one piece or one part of me. In that experience, you're realizing how this piece and this piece and this piece and this piece all intersect. And that's a part of it that people have neglected. They have thought it has to be this or that, when in fact, it doesn't. It can be a multitude of things that are coming in at one time to make things intact. So maybe you're realizing how things intertwine and how it was your choice the entire time to actually step down that path or do that thing, but with a higher frame of mind this time, with more of a connectedness, with more of an invitation in invoking the energy in which you choose to walk in and intentionalize every day that you speak or that you seek, right? You can't sit here and go into meditation and then and connection and reflection of self, okay, and then go act like an asshole to everybody else and be shut off and assume and da-da-da-da-da. And that's what they're showing me here too, is that you're realizing a lot of the people in the collective are not embodying the energy in which they preach. So, right, walk it, speak it, eat it, sleep it. You're starting to embody that type of multi-layer expression of yourself, the Six of Swords. Moving away from the mental construct of you being in, it has to be this or it has to be that, or I only have this or that. And when you stop doing that to yourself, or when you stop not counting on yourself, or you stop saying I can't, everything reroutes itself. And so even if you say I'm open but I don't know how, that's cool. Because what happens then is you become the fool, which is I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm just doing it. That's the formula to life. We truly don't. We only know what that divine connection and reflection is because of a feeling that we connect with that seems to be the very fabric of life and connection and reflection through all of us in multiplicity. And what you're doing is you're realizing it doesn't have to be this way, it doesn't have to be that way. It's supposed to be a multi-layer function of identity, because there is not just one piece or one part or one expression of you. There's not one piece or one part or one expression of the divine source that runs through the universe and all things in energetic time frame. Must be something here for our plane, because time only exists here.
Yeah,
so, like,
no.
frame by frame.
Yeah, because they never talk about time unless it's just about you.
No. And so the Six of Swords is literally the more you know, the more you trust yourself.
The Fool. Oh my God, dude, you can't. Dude, happen again. You can't make this up, man.
And that's where you're learning to trust yourself again, through the experiences that you have seen that have brought about certain types of feelings, manifestations, dreams, and things that have come into your life that brings balance at the seams. They're referring back to Juno that came in about a week and a half ago, I think it was, and now that energy of Juno is really balancing things out with this Gemini moon.
Kind of reminds me of the
Venus
Venus energy as well.
Yeah, so that's why I love dogs, because dogs don't live in the past or the future. There's only now, right? But we hang on to that energy somehow in that paralyzation of being stuck in that doubt, hesitation, whatever that is that keeps us in that nervous system imprint in that time and space for whatever reason, right? So a lot of people are learning that what it means to really let go, what it really means to be connected to the knowing, the Gnosis, that type of energy, really, and really going, okay, just like I asked my husband one day a long time ago, I sat there and I looked at him and I said, what's the definition of a man? Because, you know, I'm 39 years old trying to figure that out myself, because ain't nobody here know how to be a man.
And that's when I was like...
What's the definition, right?
Oh, wow.
So you're learning a lot of that type of energy, right? What's the definition of this? What does that word really mean? But now you're not looking at the word, you're looking at the frequency that it brings you. And remember, frequency turned to words, left our voices unheard, right? So that means when they say left our voices unheard, and the frequency was turned into words that left our voices unheard, it left the truest authentic expression of that frequency and vibration to not be able to come through. And that's what they mean by that. So now many of you are realizing the happenstances, the circumstances, the evolution, in a sense, of yourself, or spirit in body, in form. Okay? And this is how you're being reborn. The Six of Swords going, okay, I'm going to do this. I have no idea how to do this, but I know that I'm going to be guided and shown.
Oh, wow.
The King of Wands. That's all Leo. That's all expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're being asked to trust again in some type of vibration. Whether it's something circling back around again, whether you have an opportunity to try something again, do something again, it's all circling back around right now. And there's the King of Wands that's going, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to hold on strong to this belief and this connection and this dream or whatever this is, and I'm going to expand upon that with the energy that I'm tapped into. Now, we have to remember that the King of Wands usually is the first king out of the gate, because he's just like, whoa, there's no hesitation about it. A lot of that people would talk about addictions and control and afflictions and stuff like that. Not the way this is coming out after the Fool. This is saying, boom, I'm on divine direction, divine assignment, and there's nothing that's going to stop that. It's very passionate, it's very fiery, and it's very directive energy. It's coming through like a lot of the Eight of Wands. There's the moon again. It all has to do with this Gemini moon, new moon that we're transferring into. A lot of the revelations. So a lot of you are going to have those sweet, full lullaby meditations, whatever that means for you, whether you receive answers in astral, whether you have a very nice, restful, peaceful sleep. These are going to be fated experiences that you're coming into this week, and there's going to be a lot of movement this week as well. So when we say fated experiences, we're talking about things such as omens, such as actually physically meeting somebody, getting a word, being in the right place at the right time to receive whatever it was that you were in need of receiving, or you were manifesting, or in need of believing, is what Spirit says to me.
That's beautiful. We came full circle with that.
Yeah.
Because look, the Empress is on the bottom of the deck. I didn't even pull a card.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, I know exactly what's happening here. We're all going through a rebirth and a revelation. You know, I feel like there's a lot of, you know, kind of like celebrative energy that's associated with that when you have that level of awareness. You know what I'm saying? Or
Right.
It becomes familiar to you, you know? You're like, oh shit, yeah, dude, I am growing up. You know what I'm saying? I am showing out. I am stepping up. I am changing.
Right.
You know? And this is where the illusion comes in for a lot of people that think that they're stuck, you know? Because some of you are really fucking stuck, but you know what I'm saying? Sometimes we can end up in delusion and actually keeps ourselves stuck. Mm-hmm. You know? And believe it or not, the Spirit just said unsafe, because when you're stuck, it's not safe. You know, because anything can happen, because you're outside of your discipline, your connection, your alignment, what the divine path or place is for you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us end up in empty places only to find fullness again, you know? And that's kind of like part of that separation space when we, you know, these places that we're coming from right now are these separation spaces where we've been separate from the Creator, separate from the divine, separate from God, Source, whichever, you know what I'm saying? And now we're coming into that revelation and that realization, yes, we are part of something more, something bigger, something silent, but something real, something true. You know what I'm saying? Something with tangibility in our lives instead of empty materialism like we've been kind of like entrained to believe or think that these things matter, when we are the essence of all creation, you know what I'm saying? And we create our environments based on what we believe, you know, and obviously if we're still troublesome somehow, then obviously there's some trouble inside of us that we might be having to reevaluate right now. You know?
And they're talking about you guys learning the art of materialization.
Like,
learning the art of materialization, so how you materialize things and manifest resources in this time. So when they say the arts, right, it means the expression of, the knowledge of, the learning, how that frequency actually works, and discerning that space, the art of materialization. So the art of manifestation, the art of bringing things into materialization, using the resources that you have around you, which is also known here as alchemization here. Okay? So a lot of you are going through that reflection of alchemization, materialization, learning how to bring things in physically in your paradigm and manifestation. Somebody's going to be getting a dog here too soon, and I don't know where that comes in, but somebody's going to be getting a dog here
we
soon.
Go.
Somebody's getting a dog, or somebody's been thinking about getting a dog, or somebody wants a dog, so that's all I know. And somebody's thinking about getting back to jogging too, to open up endorphins and so on and so forth. So a lot of that health and wealth and the expansion of that expression and abundance here.
Yeah,
it's what I just heard. So
yeah, that's Saturn, and that's Saturnian energy. It's like health. You got to take care of yourself. You're the most important person in your life, and you got to take care of you. You know, that's kind of like Saturn's discipline. You know, when you kind of like tune into the energy, it's like you realize that Saturn's in play when your hips get heavy, everything seems weighted. It's like Saturn's calling to you and letting you know, hey, something's up. You know, something's changing, something's shifting. You know, because some of us wake up in the morning heavier than what we thought, you know, or we go out through the day and then all of a sudden our hips are letting us know, hey, things are a little bit heavy right now.
I wonder if that what Shakira meant by hips don't lie.
That's true. That's true. Because of body awareness, I mean,
they just said,
you know what I'm
saying? They said hips don't lie. They heard totally played Shakira in my ear, and I was like, shut up, bro. And they're like, hips don't lie. And I was like, shut up. And they're talking about the energy that you hold on there. So maybe a lot of you might be doing some yoga, some stretching, some meditation tonight, and releasing some of that stagnant energy. I'm sorry.
Or getting out more.
Yeah.
You know, because that's important too. You know, they alleviate your spaces because some of your spaces are constricted. If you feel like you're being choked or suffocated, if you feel like there's consistent air and energy, you know, maybe you just need to step out of it for a little bit, you know, and kind of like gain your clarity and gain your groundedness back in your, so that way you can navigate these situations from that place instead of being, absorbing what you might be going through right now. You know, this is definitely a place for peace, but peace is something found within, fam. You know, so don't get it twisted that you have to do something or you need to be something to get this in your life when it already is a piece of you, you know?
Somebody's learning the sacred art of divination too right now.
Ooh, we got a tarot reader up in here?
But it's off to a rough start.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're trying to memorize what every card means rather than go by the elements of the seams and their own intuition.
I just heard not having any fun.
Yeah. So, and you're trying too hard. So allow that information to come in just peaceful revelation. So if you pull one card, sit with it. Bring the resonance of maybe what you're seeing, even colors, feelings, whatever that is. Remember, we're intuitive readers, and we know what the cards necessarily mean. When I was first taught how to read playing cards, okay? Bastos, wands, copas, all that. I was taught the Santeria way of reading cards. And so it just transferred over to me in tarot reading too. But for those of you that are learning that, it really starts with the art of intuition and what you're being given as significators. So a lot of you are starting your own dictionary. What spirit means by when they show you this, or what spirit means when they show you that. So a lot of you are working on that right now too.
Yeah, when I first started doing tarot, man, I didn't read the cards. I had oracle cards. And from like one word or a picture, I would get all these messages. You know, so it comes in different for everybody, you know. I mean, I didn't necessarily know shit about tarot. And I don't consider myself to know anything about it now, to be honest with you. I just know that it's growing and evolving, and I come to understand more. It's kind of like an evolutionary process that, you know, I'm doing little by little, you know. But I can read the cards very well because everyone signifies an energy. You know, so the energy or whatever spirit is presenting to me is what I read on this card, regardless of what card it is. You know what I'm saying? But there's also a planetary determination with these cards that are literally coming up because tarot is driven by astrology.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So in essence, it's in the next coming weeks, you're getting the strength card.
Yeah.
All week. right? That's Leo energy. You know what I'm saying? So of course those things would come out because it's also based on the astrology. And that's where things can be really confusing for people. So I would rather go with the flow than fucking be uptight and trying to figure shit out. You know, this is why Spirit doesn't have me read books, dude, because I'm not necessarily bound by them. You know what I'm saying? I'm boundless. And this is something that they've been teaching me over time, that I don't know the rules for a reason, because those rules were meant to be broken anyway, is what I hear. You know, so it's all about interpretation, fam. You know, and how much, and you got to put a lot of love into it. I mean, if it really fascinates you, or you're just trying to figure shit out on your own, dude, and you're doing it from a survival space where you're getting frustrated and trying to figure everything out because you want to know everything now, that's not the way to do it. I mean, I wouldn't do that to myself, especially with all the things that I've learned over time. And I'm still learning now, you know? Not everybody, there isn't really anybody around here that's got it all figured out when it comes to tarot, because it can mean definitely a 10 million things for 10 million different people, you know? And we can't be so constringent on ourselves and not allow ourselves to learn in the ways that we're actually naturally learn things. You know, that's all from an old survival space. This is the way that they taught you how to learn. This is the way that they taught you how to listen. And you're going to find out that none of those things really matter, because when the divine starts teaching you, it's a whole different ball game. When you get on board with that, everything changes and shifts rather rapidly, and it asks you to adapt because your intentions are pure. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're on a higher level of elevation, you know, and you have to have self-control and discipline to be in these places, you know, because this fucking place is overwhelming as shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of us don't even want to go outside right now. It's no surprise I saw the hermit card. Some of us just don't want to be offended in whatever way that we get offended, you know? Not realizing that we shouldn't be offended.
And for those of you that want to learn the divine but they don't want to use tarot, use tea leaves, use coffee, use herbs, use crystals,
gemstones,
use seashells. Okay, use pen and paper. There's a multiple different layers within you that, you know, if you don't feel comfortable with having that, there's many different types of intuitive connections and reflections that you can work through to receive those messages for you. The tarot does connect to astrology and you energetically of what's going on at that time. You know, and so a lot of you are stepping into more of the identity that you wanted to embody or that you were seeking. And that's where a lot of these new journeys and new books is what they're telling me. I love books. But the thing that I do is I pick up the book, I'll skim through it, I'll be told what page to go to, what to read, and then I'll put it down for a long time. And then I'll start channeling, and I'll start talking. And then all of a sudden, somebody somewhere will be like, "Did you read this book?" And I'm like, "No, I have the book, but it has been sitting on a desk collecting a lot of dust, but I read the first 12 pages." And they said everything in this book is what you talk about. And I'm like, huh. Now I know why I don't read books.
Yeah, we talk about...
Because it's just divine knowing. It's just Gnosis.
Yeah, dude.
It's divine knowing
and
Gnosis.
Yeah, it's Gnosis. It's the divine knowing of all things.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't even think that that's real or it exists. And it does. And you're all a part of it somehow, you know? And I guess the mystery is you understanding what that is, you know, and learning about it or experiencing those things. Meanwhile, you get to live kind of like a double life, you know? Because it's all about spiritual interpretation and expression, you know? So here you are, the spirit in a body or soul in form, you know, experiencing life and seen enough to know how to change it whenever you want to change it. You know what I'm saying? When you desire or when you get sick of your shit enough or sick of somebody else's shit enough to change it yourself. And that's when everything changes for you. And that's like the Creator's promise. It's a universal aspect of ourselves, which we don't necessarily know how we're wielding it. And it becomes a weapon when we don't know. You know? And I think a lot of people are seeing that kind of like, they don't want to do it anymore because it's a cannibalistic energy. It's a dog-eat-dog world, you know? And we don't want to partake in those things anymore because we know that those things are meant for us. It's not from a place of survival. I don't want to feel this shit no more. Even though some people are going through that, You know, it's more so just an understanding and a respect for yourself where it's like, no, no, I'm really tired of this shit. You know, I'm tired of the song and dance and I want more. Or I want to change something. Because when we change something, that's when everything changes. When we intend to take that step or that leap or follow our passion, you never know where it's going to take you. But it'll take you far, you know, because that's the promise behind it. If it comes in with that much momentum, follow the momentum. Flow with life. Don't fight it. Six of Swords.
Dope.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for allowing us to be here with you tonight.
Yeah. We are doing readings today. If you guys like, it's a dynamic duo reading. It's basically your divine feminine and divine masculine aspects, not only of yourself. It could be a relationship that comes up if you are in one or not. You know, definitely union spaces always are a topic, you know, when it comes to these things, because unions are meant to happen. You know, we are soulmates in a way. We do connect in those things. And, you know, I feel like when it comes to relationships, I think it's the lack of belief that that actually exists that causes us to seek someone else's relationship, you know, or kind of like imagine or dream about what that is, not knowing that we have the opportunity to experience those things for ourselves. You know, because when it comes into unionship, that's actually a union with yourself, because through another, you know, and that's a very important aspect of ourselves, because we are all part of the same thing. And when we connect with another being and we go through the process of what a divine relationship looks like, whether it's friendship or not, you know, these things get revealed over time and you become one with each other. You know, just as you are one with the Creator, you become one with each other, because the Creator is also you. You know, a lot of people are afraid to even dream or imagine what it is to have a pleasurable relationship for a change, because of the traumatic experiences that a lot of us has had on our spiritual path and revelations, being generational curse breakers, to the point where we actually limit our dreams and not allow ourselves to fantasize of what that actually would feel like, to get a better impression of what it actually looks like by embodying that energy, not from a place of fallacy, but knowing that you're going to go through the process of this manifestation into a beautiful relationship, not only with yourself, but whoever you're meant to blossom with, because that's what we do when we come together. You know, a lot of us have ended up in bad, shitty relationships because we didn't even know why we got into the relationship in the first place. You know what I'm saying? And that's really incremental, is what Spirit just said, about realizing that some of these half-bag shit relationship trash that you've had in your past was only meant to show you what you truly deserve and what you truly honor and respect in your life, what you truly value. You know what I'm saying? So some of us been in some really fucked up places. Some of us has almost died in their spaces, you know, and that's that, you know, that doesn't go without respect of the fact that we end up in these spaces, you know, that test us or that put us on trial, basically, only to come from these spaces to realize how beautiful life is once more. And that we have the opportunity to have this beautiful relationship, not only with the Creator, the universe, consciousness, source, spirit, but we also have a divine relationship with another. And that's how we learn to respect. You know, that's how we connect with our community. We find like-minded individuals. We come together. We don't necessarily, we adapt to one another, you know? And I believe that's also in what a relationship does, is we're meant to adapt. We're meant to learn and grow from each other, because if our relationship is not challenging us to be more, do more, see more, feel more, hear more, you know, and enjoy the fact that you're enjoying life with another, dude, then we're in a place we're in a teaching space where we're being shown the lacks or the desires of what our idea of a relationship actually is. You know, so we are doing those readings today, fam. If those things do come up, it's just $44 today. The link is in the bio. Just type "Don't know how you donate." We'd be more than happy to do a reading for you. You know, on maybe a relationship that you need to have with yourself, or a relationship that you have with another, because that's also this is a very important aspect of this kind of like Venus energy and Juno energy, is that it's feminine, that it's sacred, that it's about connecting. It's about, you know, understanding that you can be emotional, but emotional in a conscious way, to where you experience joy and happiness more frequently because of your frequency, and understand that there's an adaptability to that, you know, where things actually do seem more abundant, that they do seem more fruitful, that you can be more loving, that you can be more compassionate, because now that you're connecting with yourself, or you're engaging in that realization, it allows you to connect with like-minded individuals as well. And this is how we manifest these things.
Being in a relationship and being in a place where you've outgrown, you know, it clearly is shown to you. And then you have the light, right? The light is the information. Where darkness exists, it's because there's a lack of vibration, lack of information, right? So if there is a lack of whatever in that vibration, in that relationship, there's a lot of unyoking that's taking place here. And the unyoking that's taking place is spaces that you don't necessarily belong anymore, because the energy is not the same anymore. You continue to be scorned in a place that you thought you were being reborn, right? And so when you realize that there's other energies in relationships, whether it be work, whether it be friends, whether it's situationships, intimate relationships, where energy is uneven, it's showing you many different layers of what you might used to believe in that you don't necessarily believe in anymore, because your identification layer of you has been reborn. You can't expect that your partner is going to understand, or that your partner is going to hear the holy commands. Wow. You know, of what that vibration is, because they're this, that, or in their own head. They don't understand you. They were misfed, misled by their own avenues or certain circumstances. So, you know, a lot of energies coming up right now in the collective where it's like, yo, I can't carry your emotional, you know, baggage anymore, right?
Yeah.
Your victimization, you know, whatever that. I'm in a space of recalibrating. And so there's a lot of unyoking and yoking that is taking place in the collective here, in that relationship space, because your values, what you value, what your worth is, what you deserve, right? And it's pushing the boundaries of what you're already in.
That's beautiful.
That's right. It's just
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. It just aligns with everything happening right now. It's like, dude, you are sacred and sovereign. There's nothing that you don't have to believe in here. You know what I'm saying? Because seeing is everything, is what they just said. You know, I think that we as people just understand what's happening right now and engage in that, because it's actually helping us do more, be encouraged more, inspired, start that business, take that leap, drop that fear, drop this bag, drop that person. You know what I'm saying? And it's self-improvement. It's like a self-improvement course, dude, that we're all engaging in right now, fam. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and we got to trust that. But we
Right.
have to learn how to trust that too, because we've experienced the opposite.
Yeah. You know, there was a lot, you know, when you guys come into different new awarenesses about you and revelations and, you know, why you are the way you are, how you do what you do, all of that stuff, you know, that divine discernment inside of you. And when there's an uneven balance that continues to come up over and over again in your relationship, it's obviously showing you something that you need to do, because you're not able to come into the full expansion of you, is what's being given to me.
It's always about expansion, isn't it, bro?
It is.
It's always about expansion.
It is.
You know, it's funny that they say that they can't explain why the universe is expanding so fast.
It's because we are.
Yeah. I know why.
Yeah.
Why? Because we're all a part of the same thing, and we're expanding our consciousness. We're actually looking to a deeper horizon.
Yeah.
You know, understanding more, seeing more, looking at things with more clarity, walking away from these trauma spaces that do nothing but cause chaos and discontent in our lives. It's almost like, you know, you realize that by spiritually maturing, you become that much more of a child or innocent. You know, so it actually works backwards. You know what I'm saying? You come back to yourself. You come back to the essence of who you are. You come back to your purity, your innocence, through understanding, through knowing, through Gnosis, right? and you kind of like, you're gonna fuck it up a couple times. You know what I'm saying? It's just gonna happen because that's part of learning and growing, dude. Think about how many times you busted your ass trying to learn how to walk, you know? And it's nothing different. It's not really, it's similar, you know? But we, given the situations of a lot of people, places, and things that we've encountered, especially, you know, in an indoctrinated civilization, we've picked up some really bad fucking habits and beliefs along the way, bro. You know what I'm saying? And God's like, no, you gotta wipe all that shit out. You know, and it's like, you realize, it's like, oh yeah, dude. Hold on one second. You realize that it's like, oh yeah, dude, I have been doing a lot of these things out of survival and the beliefs that this is just how everything goes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't even know what normal life is anymore, you know? So, you know, with that being said, you know, if you would like to engage in more of a one-on-one space, you know what I'm saying, if you don't want your business out there, the link is in the bio to go to fourcornershealing37.com, where you could look up our services, what we do. If you feel more comfortable with women, of course, my wife, Caroline, Megan, and Denise are there. We all have our unique experiences, our unique teachings, and our unique ways of divining. So, you know, please look at those things, or look at those services to see if there's anything that stands out to you, anything that lights you up, anything that sparks your intuitive self, you know, and engage in that space. We also do sound and energy healing. We have many healing modalities on our website, and we're also very well versed in these different modalities, each and every one of us, you know. So you definitely get what you pay for over there in that space. Everything's reciprocated in a very divine and honorable way,
and everyone is certified either through me or on their own through their own doing.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here if we were certified. We weren't certified at this point, you know what I'm saying? We all have our different rite of passage stories to get here. Maybe if we start a comedy show, we'll talk about them. But, you know, that might be something to think about in the future.
Don't give me an open mic hand.
Right, dude? You know, I keep imagining it, but then, you know what I'm saying? I have a very, very foul mouth. I grew up that way. Hi, Megan. What's up, lady? We're just sitting here shooting the breeze.
The breeze.
You know? So I think we've
covered it all tonight.
I think we've said it.
I know
we've said it. And we've done it again.
And we did it again. Imagine.
See, everybody does something new all the time, you know what I'm saying? So like, we decided to come on for the second time in one day. And of course, yes, the energy is different. The speeches are different. It's not necessarily the same thing, but you can also see the connection of the two, which is also a very beautiful thing. You know, and how it's all interconnected, that we're literally engaging in a more profound realization of what rebirth energy actually looks like and what you're moving through because of it. You know, so that's really cool as well. You know, so I guess with that being said, we're going to get up out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much love to each and every one of you. We are going to be putting this one on YouTube. Stay beautiful and blessed, fam. Take care till next time. Peace.